Do this intro here. All right. Welcome to the Path to Billionaire Success Stories, the podcast that takes you on a journey through the stories, strategies, and insights of remarkable individuals who have achieved greatness in their field. I'm your host, Ben Pietrowski, and together we'll unravel the secrets, challenges, and triumphs that pave the ways to success. Join us every week as we uncover the principles that can help you overcome obstacles, embrace change, and harness your potential. Get ready to be motivated, challenged, and empowered to embark on your very own path to success. Remember, success is not a destination, it's a journey. So buckle up and get ready to explore. Today, we're joined by the one, the only, Joel Buhr. Great man. Why don't you tell my listeners here a little bit about yourself, what you do, and why you're here?
You bet. Yeah, you bet. I'm glad to be here. So my name is Joel Buhr, and the secular side of things, I'm a husband, I'm a father, a lot of other things. But on the secular side, I've been working with companies for over 25 years, consulting them on strategies, data strategies, and marketing strategies to help grow their business. I started First Direct over 18 years ago. It'll be 19 years coming up in May. And our mission is to actually empower businesses with the right information, insights, and solutions to empower their growth and success. So we've been doing that for a good long time. Have a solid track record of strategies and formulas that work for businesses. And so I'm glad to be here and happy to share anything that's helped us on our journey and my journey for those that are looking to grow as well.
Awesome. Well, we definitely appreciate you being here. Let's just jump right into this. What does success mean to you? How do you define it personally?
What success means to me, a lot of times I've thought about this a lot. Success is for lack of a better word to use maybe at the moment, a balance between a lot of areas of life. You're not successful if you're only successful, for example, in business and not successful in family. And you're not successful if you're successful in business and family, but not spiritually. And then it's the prioritization of those things. So what success is to me is that proper amount of balance of time on those things that matter most. When you think about areas of life, like I was in a recent mastermind session, and actually I think I have some of those the parts there, and they were talking about like different areas. And it kind of stuck out to me. We think a lot of times when we look at success, it was a pulse check, a wheel right here. And I had some of the areas like actually highlighted, like this is the only area of business and the rest of this is all personal related right there. And so what success means to me is how you're using one to feed the other and to work together. And it doesn't always mean that you're going to have a fancy sports car or whatever the case may be. But it does mean that you're able to do the things that you find enjoyment in. For me, I love flying. I love riding motorcycle. I love that type of thing. I love sailing. So, for me, success is being able to enjoy those things, being able to support my employees and help them towards their dreams, achieve their goals. Right. I know that by virtue of that, I'm going to find success in what I'm wanting to do.
Oh, nice. That is a great way to define success. That is wanting other people to be successful and be there for your family. This is very important. Very important. Right. And I love that wheel. Like that's to see that representation like that, to where it's just very little is business and all this is all personal. So that's
what kind of stood out to me, because what it highlighted was a number of different areas like career, money, health, family, and finance, significant other, personal and intellectual growth, fun and recreation, and physical environment. And like all of those things, like the career and money are the only business related items there, really,
right.
in a lot of ways. So when we look at success, you may see people too that they're really successful over here, but if you really had the one-on-one talk with them, they're really miserable in another area. So,
Yeah.
If we were to sum it up, I would say, hey, success is when you find peace in all areas in your life, not just one.
Right. Right. Have it all work cohesively together.
Exactly.
I love that.
Exactly.
Awesome. What achievements or milestones have you accomplished that you consider successful moments in your life?
That's kind of there's milestones, from a secular standpoint, from a business standpoint, there's milestones of being in business for over 18 years. That's definitely a milestone. When we've expanded our team, not only here in the US, but overseas, we have individuals in overseas as well. So we're spread across the globe. That's a milestone of success. When those are things that I'm proud of there too. But I think, for me, family is a very important thing, to me. I work really, really hard. I spend a lot of time working as well, but at the same time, it's because I'm trying to create a different path for my family and children than what I necessarily had growing up. Right. So
Right.
when I look, for example, my son's 18, and he's successfully graduated, and he's starting college and was able to get a full ride just because of application and discipline. So that's a milestone of success for me. He's getting started in the right direction with a foundation that's going to help him do the things in life that he has goals for. Right. And it's just a better step. We always look, especially as a father, you always look for, how am I laying the foundation for the generations after me to be more successful than what I had. And it's not looking negatively on past things, but it's looking at how you can make it's sometimes it's micro changes, right? It's little changes.
Right.
Just with that. Milestone is being married to my wife for over 22 years. Right.
Wow.
So, that's a big milestone.
Yes.
A lot of people don't make it 6 months, so,
Yeah.
that would be a big milestone in that regard.
Awesome. Those are all huge. It's going off of the being in business 18 years. What advice would you give to somebody that's just getting started to make it even past that 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? What is it that you did to keep making it 18 years?
There's a level of where I think for too many years I played it safe and acted too slow. Don't do that. There's a level of steady business that you always should have, because depending upon, and I don't think it's really dependent upon what industry you're in, any industry that you're in, you should have a level of steadiness that your clients and partners can depend upon. However, if you're somebody that's just starting a business, do not underestimate the amount of activity you're going to need to apply. And then when you think you've applied that, guess again and multiply, right? And reattack it again. Make decisions quicker, and get people around you that can support you. I always use the illustration with my team, like, hey, my role here is to go plow through walls. I'm there to go make a mess, not the bad way, but go make a mess, and go push the envelope and be the visionary. And, I would say too, it's like, especially if you're starting a business and you're going to end up having a team, like, really identify, don't think that you've built a business just when you've hired people. Think that you've built a business when you're making impacts for people, right? And it's not you that it should impact first. If you impact other people first, it will come back to you. You'll get what you're looking for, and you may not even know what you're looking for yet. But take action. The biggest thing I would say, take action. And another thing though, too, is don't forget time. If we're talking about people starting in business, don't get lost and lose precious time. You'll lose precious time.
Right.
Those are things that if I had to do over again in business, I'd spend more time with my kids and my family.
Right.
There's points in my business in 18 years that I didn't spend enough time at all. And
Okay.
so you can never change that, but you can never take back or fix what has been done, but you can always move forward.
Right.
And that's all you got to do. So don't forget time, and take massive action. It's to not be cliche, but take massive action.
Right. Just take massive action. That's so, and
Right.
it's hard. Like, it's hard to think that when you think that you're doing enough, or you see other people that aren't doing as much, you're like, oh, maybe I'm doing too much. But that's when you need to hammer it down and do more.
Right. Yep. So it is putting in that you're creating a life. You create a life. For me, like, I've created my business. I've definitely over the last 5 or 6 years modified how my business can operate, so that it's more fluid. I can, I can go start to do the things that I enjoy doing or want to do. I don't want to be in my 60s and finally getting to enjoy some things. Right.
Right.
So, there's ways that you can integrate that into your business. So you have to keep yourself entertained in some regards. Sometimes, it's not always doing what you love. Sometimes you got to do what you don't love.
Yep. Yeah, that is true. To get to where you want to be, you're going to have to go through places you don't want to stay. So,
yep. Well, I've heard it, and I think this is a Dave Ramsey thing, but the statements actually kind of go. It's like to live, to live like no one else tomorrow, you got to live like no one else today, along those lines.
right.
And it's very true, and that of course can be applied in so many different ways. But don't forget the most important things along the way.
Right. Remember those things. Remember those people. Remember the time. So.
Yep. Exactly right.
Has your definition of success evolved over time?
I think it's actually, for me, my definition of success has been kind of more found over time. So it's in a way of speaking. Yes. I've gotten more clarity on what that success means and what it can mean. We were raised, very low income, very low poverty, food stamps and government cheese, I like to say. Like that's what I remember growing up with. So the mindset growing up with was one of scarcity, one of very limited. And so to flip that mindset over time, that requires you to change what your definition of success is. And so you have to nurture that mindset, no different than if you were growing a plant, right? You gotta, or something else like that you got to nurture. You got to make sure that it gets the right nutrients, the right a fresh supply of water. So that version of success definitely has changed over time. But I also am very, very careful about who I allow to affect what that success means.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does.
So I'm very protective of that. It's something that can have a really big impact on you as an individual if you allow the wrong people to influence what success is to you.
Right. Yeah, that's, you get that mentality, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to buy something that you don't need, things like that. And, that's
right.
Success
Well,
for everybody is different.
Yeah, you're measuring yourself against other people's success, whereas you are your own version of success, and that's okay.
Right.
It's not a matter of if you go get a brand new truck, I don't have to go get a brand new truck. It's
exactly.
It's it is what that is. So it's there's certain things that you can easily lose yourself if you go that direction. And by the time you wake up to that, you're going to realize you've hurt a lot. You've hurt yourself a lot, and you've hurt those you love a lot.
Yep. Yep. And you run the chance of losing everything.
Yep. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yep.
So,
what role do you believe that luck or timing have played in your achieving success?
Luck, 0.
Okay.
Timing, small percentage. You make your own timing.
Right.
So, it's you can always, there's a lot of times I can look back and say, man, I didn't jump on that. Okay. Well, I'm not somebody that believes that, well, that was meant to be that way. No, I didn't act fast enough. If that was something I wanted to go after, I didn't act fast enough. Or it could be also too, maybe there were some things I was, unknowingly aware of at the time that made me hesitate a little bit longer. And that was a wise course.
Right.
But one of the things I don't believe that, luck, I don't believe in luck. It is, you are a byproduct of your choice of action. And so if I want something bigger in one area, I'm going to have to go pay the price. So you pay the price in exchange to get the results.
Yes. Okay.
And you show up persistently. And without let up, you show up and that's how you create the quote unquote, luck.
Right.
Is you show up.
You show up. You're putting in so much work before that luck actually shows up.
Yeah. When you look at other, go ahead.
From the outside, like that's what everybody does. Is they see that end result and they're like, oh, must be lucky to get that, not realizing this person just put in decades of work to get to that point.
Exactly. A lot of people never take the time to actually recognize. And I think that's one of the things that I've tried to be conscious of is like, okay, what was the efforts? What was that person doing behind the scenes?
Right.
And for, a lot of times we look at people's social images, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. And you look at people and you're like, man, yeah, look at that. Well, that's social, or they're only going to put the best side anyway. Okay. So, people will compare themselves, like you said, and say, hey, that person's lucky, but they're not looking at all the other prices they had to pay, and so you got to ask yourself, you willing to pay the same price?
Yeah. What are you willing to give up to get that point to that point?
Exactly right. So, there's a lot of little small things.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what adds up. That's, it's like you said earlier, it's the small little changes that you make that is going to make the huge differences down the road. So
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. You keep taking action and it will pay off. But it's always too right. If you always look back at the big things you're really thankful for, and analyze it a little bit. How close were you to giving up, to stopping, to pausing, to slowing down?
Right. Yeah.
So, right before that came, what were you getting ready to do? Right. And I think that's an important thing to consider. Like, were you almost ready to call it quits and take a different path, and now you're glad you didn't, right?
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Like Alex says all the time, you've gone through 100% of the tough times and made it through. You just never quit on those times. So
exactly.
And it's true. You look back at everything in your life.
Yep.
From childhood, getting it walking. How many times did you fall down trying to learn to walk?
Yeah, but see, you don't think about that now, do you? Right.
Right.
Like, you don't think you just get up and you walk, right? You don't think of all the failed times for years that you learned how to walk.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
So many falls, so many crawls, and so much frustration, just from early childhood. That's, and it
Right.
doesn't stop. You just keep growing and moving forward.
Yep. Exactly.
So, um, can you share a specific challenge or setback that you have faced?
Um, there was as far as in business goes, I mean, there was a time period where, I was at a spot in business. And what's interesting is like we were a lot smaller revenue wise and everything like that. But I was so close to just saying, hey, this is too much. I was really stressed out back around 2011.
Okay.
And it was one of those things that, business was not going the way it should. I had a partner in the business, and I was at a point where I was like, you know what, I should just call it quits. It would make sense to call it quits, right?
Mhm.
It would be okay. In fact, it would be justifiable. We're in the red, all of those things.
Right.
And it was one of those things. My wife even told me, she goes, are you sure you want to own your own business? Yeah, maybe go get a corporate job or something like that. And I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? No, I didn't come this far to only come this far. And why would I quit?
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
and it was one of those things that I just simply, it was a double down of activity. Not even a double down. It was more than that, and so it was basically, yeah, I was at a point where basically I should have just closed the business down. My business partner, at the time, he wanted out, which is what was actually for the best. And I just committed, bought him out, and said, all right, I'm gonna grind. I'm gonna grind like nothing else. And I think that point right there taught me a lot about the amount of effort to not give up on. Right. And this was
Right.
before I even came across some, like the 10X community and Grant Cardone and those types of things. It was even before that. And so, that was a point where it was a pivot point, I think, for the business in a lot of ways. And also for me personally.
Right.
It was a point where I was probably getting ready to give up on business and getting ready to give up on a lot of other areas. And that's always the way it'll go too. If you're giving up in one area, or one area is going bad, it's probably because something else is also not good. Right.
Okay. Right. Right.
And more than one or two areas is not good in life, and that's one thing I definitely learned. Like at that time, hindsight being what it is, like I wasn't strong spiritually. And so that was one of the first things I started focusing on, as I was also putting forth effort in business. Like they
Mhm.
had to go hand in hand,
Right.
is how
Right.
I looked at it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's one thing that I'm learning on this journey right now is you have to build it all together and work it simultaneously, because like you said,
Right.
if one part is falling, the rest are going to start coming down with it. So
Exactly right. Exactly right.
yeah. What motivates you to keep striving for success, even during challenging times?
Um, it's it's not it's not money. It's there's an old scriptural proverb that basically, comes to mind constantly. It's like, whatever your hand finds to do, do with all your might. And
Mm,
so when, because I remember it being explained like, hey, if doing this would be the right thing to do, anything opposite of that is the wrong thing to do. And so what motivates me is, hey, I don't want to be a bad guy. I want to be a good person. I want to help people, and I can't do that if I stop. I can't do that if I quit.
right.
Right. So, a lot of times we look at ourselves as a good person. Well, if we're a good person, then we'll do what's the right thing. We won't just simply, try to protect ourselves or lull ourselves to a false sense of approval, right? We'll look for it. We'll keep asking questions, and we'll keep pushing for answers.
Very true. Very true. Wow, that's a great way to look at it. Is don't just say you're a good person, act like a good person, and do the steps that you
Right.
that you should be doing.
Correct. You got it. You got to prove it. If you're gonna say that you're a kind person, go be kind. What did you do kind today?
Right.
If you said that you're a good husband, did you tell your spouse you love them? If you're a good father, did you tell them you love them? Did you take an interest? Did you spend some time?
Yeah.
So those moments go by quick, and you'll never regret taking the action, but you'll definitely regret not taking the action.
Right. Right. I love that. That's awesome. Very good. Do you think there's a connection between failure and success?
Absolutely.
How have they contributed to your growth? How have failures contributed to your growth?
Embrace them.
Embrace them.
Embrace them. I mean, I'm not looking to fail, but I'm looking to fail.
Right.
I'm looking to fail quick. Right. So I get through it. Because it's a growth thing, right? Yeah. I'm looking to see where we're messing up, or where we're at, not because it's negative. I'm not trying to pick on negative, but I want to get through it. Like I even tell our designers and stuff like that, like I want to see the first version like super quick so I can say no to it. Well, that's not very motivating. No, it's all good. Right. I want to see the first version so that way I know what we need to change about it to move it forward. Like we're trying to grow here, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's get the first version out. And we can move through it quicker, right?
Yes. Right.
That would
changes.
be exactly that's what we need to do. So failure, I would say failure is a critical component of success. And yes. Anybody that looks at somebody successful and says, well, they don't fail, I guarantee you they fail more times than they let on.
Right. You just see those successes. That's all that you're seeing.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's all you're seeing. So, you've got to change that perspective a little bit.
Right. Yeah, you see somebody successful, ask them what failures they had getting into that, or what hiccups along the way they had.
Exactly. Exactly right. Exactly right. So, you definitely have to embrace failure. It's not a bad thing.
No, it is not a bad thing. Not saying that we're looking for it, but you need it. You need it to grow.
100%.
That's awesome. So this is a big one for you, it seems like. How do you maintain a work-life balance while pursuing these successful actions?
One feeds the other. The way that I've structured business allows me to pivot at any given time. I do a lot of volunteer work. I do a lot of ministry work. Family is very important to me, and being able to drop things and move to those things relatively easily is very important to me. So it's maintaining it where there's certain things are non-negotiable. And so that there's the balance. That's how I keep the balance. Like there's certain things that are non-negotiable. At some point, there's only so much work you can do for that day, and you need to give other things attention. And so shutting things down, but you can also, a lot of times there's little micro things I'm doing. It's different types of activities that I'm doing that's mingled with other activities that allows me to do the other activities. Right. So for me, it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship of time, but also being non-negotiable at certain times with certain activities. So ministry work is very important to me. It's non-negotiable. We do that as a family. And, I get called on from time to time, and I'm willing to drop everything and walk and trust it'll be okay, and go take care of that. So the balance is really it's creating non-negotiable lines in some areas, and holding to those lines, and being just as persistent as some people are in business. You've got to be just as persistent and dedicated in those areas.
Right.
if not more so.
Not
So
more.
yeah.
Yeah. With the same effort that you are putting into work as into your personal life.
Yep. Well, if you got to put more,
Right.
get spirituality is a big thing. I mentioned that a few times, but it's like, if I'm going to go push in work, I need to push even more so in spirituality. Right. That's got to have even more of an effort behind it, because it's usually something that a lot of people will put to the side in a lot of ways.
Right.
So to not let that ever go to the side, because at one point I did, it's a very important thing to me. I don't want to lose that. And because you can lose such things. You can lose family, you can lose spirituality, you can lose relationships when you don't tend them.
Right.
So, if those things are, if you say they're important to you, you got to make the time that's dedicated for those things.
Okay. That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
Is put extra time into those things just as much. So,
Right. Exactly.
has there been a moment where you felt like you were successful but weren't recognized for it?
Yeah, there's some of those moments over time. And I think what you need to do is get out of your own self in those moments.
Right.
Right. Um, you may think that you should have been recognized a certain way, but if you don't take the time to go celebrate somebody else, why should you be celebrated?
Mm,
In that respect.
right.
It's because if you stay there, it's just going to seed frustration, and it's going to seed unhealthy traits, envy, right, and contentiousness with people that you say you love, or that you care about. So, in those cases where maybe I don't think I was recognized the way I should have been, I've definitely learned that you get over that real quickly and you move on. Action is the antidote.
I love that. It's a great way to look at it. Yeah. Because if you're in action, you're not even thinking about that past stuff that's, outside of if you're learning and growing from
Right.
it, that's it. You're just moving. Yeah.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Um, how do you measure the progress towards your goals? Do you have any specific milestones that you use?
There's not, there's not, I guess it depends upon the goal, right? So, there's a little phrase that I have, like, right above my door. It says mindset, motion, momentum. Right. So I think the milestones are milestones to progress towards goals. It's incremental movements, right, towards that. So you don't, and then you do have to keep track of, like, what are your goals, and then take times of reflection where you can look back to see the path you've been on. That's how you can measure whether you're aiming or moving towards those goals or not. It's little incremental daily actions, right? And keeping your mindset focused on why you're doing these things. It's you put things around you. I don't know how I measure things. I look at things I put up around me. I got my things up above in my office, over here and over there, and things across here. Like, what are my reasons for my goals, and what are the reasons why I'm doing these things, right? And then I focus on hey, what's one thing I can do today towards this? And I usually focus on probably maybe 2 or 3 main things a day. And then what are all the little things I can focus on within that? And then start to set up, what are the next things and the next things and the next things.
Right. Right. Just keep a nice little systematic approach to it. And
Yeah, I'm kind of a heavy analyzer in some regards. So it's like that, I've definitely learned that you simply, I don't know, you look at each day and you give it your all. Your goals have to be big enough that they are out there, that you're not going to achieve that goal in 1 week.
right.
Right. So if you think about it, they're like, well, maybe that puts it difficult for some people. But if you think about like all the small goals that would be in the road towards one massive big goal that's really far out there, if you keep your eye on that center point that's really far out, all those smaller goals become easier.
Yes.
And so, I think measuring goals is finding out how to pick the biggest goal.
Right.
That is kind of like a culmination in your lifetime, right? And staying centered on that big goal.
Yes.
So I don't know. That's how I look at it. I don't know if that's
Okay.
the answer you're looking for, or if that makes sense for some people.
It does, because it's like Miriam with her purpose workshop. That's how she looks at it, is goals, and then you have all your targets throughout essentially your life. Like you got those big goals, and you're just working little targets throughout the time to work towards that big goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes you don't know about some of those targets along the way. Those are things that get developed over time.
Right. Right. And you have to be willing to allow your goals to change over time, because they're gonna expand and grow and change, and just it's gonna be different.
Right.
You can't be stuck in one thing. So
Well, I think that's where it's important to find what's the biggest target that you can aim for, and that's where that helps you not get stuck on some of the smaller targets, because when they don't happen, you just realign yourself back to your big target, right? Because sometimes we'll get lost in a moment, and we'll go try to achieve, we'll try to go do something that we think is really important then, and a year from now it won't matter. Right. But if we stay centered on what's that bigger goal of impact that individually you want to make, it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else, right? It just needs to make sense to you. And you need to be honest with yourself and know that that's a good purpose, or a good reason that you're working for.
Yep.
And if it's not, make the adjustment.
Yep.
But I think that measurement of goals is the key part, is finding the biggest goal to aim for.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, have you faced any moments of self-doubt or imposter syndrome?
Every day. I don't know. It's you always have doubts.
Right.
You always have doubts. There's I forget. I don't know who wrote it, but it's like only in reflection will you know whether you said or did the right thing. So you always have doubts in the moment of, am I saying the right thing, or am I doing the right thing? And you can stay there too long, and it'll actually slow you down. And it's not having a calloused view of it if you don't stay there that long, but it's moving quickly. Sometimes people expect you to dwell longer on your failures as like a penance, for that failure. And it's, what, you can't do that. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for those you love, even the person that maybe tries to hold you there. But you do have to make a genuine analysis of it and say, hey, you know what? I failed there. I screwed up, and fix it the best you can, but move forward. I mean, the best fix for any failure is more action forward. Right. And making the adjustments to make sure it's the right action.
Right. As long as you don't keep doing the same thing that you failed at, then you'll be okay.
Exactly.
Make little adjustments, and eventually it will start working out. So
100%. Absolutely.
How do you handle competition or comparison in your field?
Competition. When you say that, what do you mean?
Other businesses, other people that are doing something similar to what you do.
There's a lot of companies that can do what we do, right? I don't worry about it. Because here's the reality is, like, if I don't believe that I'm the very best that there is out there, I'll never give the very best to my client.
Right.
And so I don't worry about what other people are doing as much as what I know I need to do. Right. So it's one of those things where you can watch and observe and say, oh, that's interesting what they're doing. And yeah, hey, that was clever. Celebrate them.
Right.
But I would say, you don't worry about what the competition is doing. The more you do that, you're going to be stuck. Yeah, you need to beat them. So you need to pay attention to some of that. Okay. But I try not to stay focused there.
Right.
I try to stay focused on what can we do that's going to move the needle and be creative and provide clients even better value.
Right. And that's a great way to look at it. Learn from what they're doing, see what's successful, celebrate their wins, and continue to give your best to your clients.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
What advice would you give to somebody who's just starting on their journey?
Oh, I kind of touched on this earlier. Don't underestimate the amount of effort that you're going to have to apply in all areas, not just business, but in family, your spirituality, your friendships, those things that matter most. Take time to reflect on those things and appreciate those things. And, take time to take time for yourself as well. You have to give yourself that time, to reflect and to grow. And you have to have a curious nature, and humility. Humility is oftentimes looked at as a weakness in this world, and it's actually not. It takes more strength to have humility and to look at things and say, well, I don't know this. Tell me, show me. So have a curious nature about yourself, and put your mindset in the right direction, and then move forward with boldness.
Yeah. I think that's super important for people to know is it's okay not to know everything.
Yeah.
It's okay, but take that time and make that effort to go and learn the most you can about that, whatever it is that you're being asked about.
Right.
So,
exactly right.
yeah. I think too many people want to say they know something and try to fake it till they make it, and just some things
Say I
you
don't know.
can't.
Say, hey, I don't know. I don't know. Can you show me? Or I
I'll learn, or
yeah, when you say I'm wrong, what do you mean? Right.
yes,
Well, they could have a different perspective on something, and that's fine.
exactly.
And you could learn something on it.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe they didn't explain what they were looking for in a clear way. Things like that. There's so many different things that could cause that. So just ask for clarity.
Exactly. 100%.
So, has your success brought you the fulfillment that you were expecting?
In some regards, yeah. In some regards, no. And so when we talk about success, I would imagine we're probably talking about secular business success, those types of things. It's brought me enjoyment from hard work, but also it's brought me headache at the same time, and you learn from that. You adjust that, and then move forward from there. So it's definitely brought headaches. Some of those are good headaches. Some of those are bad headaches. And and usually those bad headaches were because of bad choices, and some of the good headaches were just challenges that you were not aware that they were failures in some regards, but they were challenges I just was not aware of at that time.
Right.
That's it.
That's it, and like you say, you just keep moving forward, keep going. And,
Exactly. That's exactly it. So take a bold step forward, and then keep progressing forward.
Right. And reflect on what you went through, and learn and grow, and keep doing those steps.
Exactly. 100%.
All right, Joel, last question here. How do you celebrate your successes? Do you have any rituals or anything that you do?
No, I don't. Not really.
Really?
I mean, I take reflection on what I've done that's made certain things possible. Like I said earlier, I love to go fly. So it's like when I'm flying, those are like some of the happiest times that I have. I love, there's nothing more beautiful, in my opinion, than a beautiful sunset or a beautiful sunrise from the air. Right. And so I reflect on the fact that maybe, hey, what I'm able to do right there when I'm doing that was only possible because I put forth the effort in other areas. Right. So, you know, or other types of things, right? You know, so it's like, those are the moments where I guess you could say celebrate the success, because, you know, those are things that in some cases wouldn't be possible without success. Right. So, and without creating more success. When you want to do more of it, you got to go make more success. Yep. Just fill up the piggy bank.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. So awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time and joining us here. Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to tell the guests, be able to contact you, any contact information, anything like that?
I mean, you bet. Everyone's welcome to reach out to me, you know, at our offices. Direct lines 402-403-0000, just 402-403-0000. And if there's anything that myself, my company, our team can do to help you grow your business for success, that's what we're here for. That's our mission.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. I definitely appreciate you taking the time. And
you bet. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.